Aleutian Islands are situated in the North Pacific Ocean, forming a chain which extends about 1,200 miles west-southwest from Alaska Peninsula towards Siberia to form the southern boundary of the Bering Sea. The Aleutians comprise 4 groups, the Fox, Andreanoff, Rat, and Near Islands, and constitute part of the territory of Alaska, USA. Of volcanic origin, there are numerous cones on the chain, many of them still active. The coasts are rocky and surf-worn, rising immediately from the water in steep, bold mountains. The Aleutians are the storm pot of the Western world. A permanent low-pressure area prevails there. Cold air masses from the polar regions flow with a shearing effect against the warm, moisture-laden air masses over the Japanese current to form cyclonic disturbances. Because of the Earth's rotation, these disturbances move from west to east, and this meteorological phenomenon constitutes one of the most dangerous weapons in the arsenal of our enemies, for it enables the Japanese to operate behind the moving curtain of a storm. In the early days of June 1942, they employed this advantage in an all-out attempt to secure absolute domination of the entire Pacific Ocean. Behind eastward-moving storms, they dispatched 2 invasion fleets against 2 widely separated objectives, Midway Island and Dutch Harbor, an operation designed to break the American line of sea defense upon which the security of the Pacific coast depends. Both attempts failed. American air forces engaged the enemy task force at Midway, achieving an historic victory. And at Dutch Harbor, American land-based planes from secret American airfields swarmed down, seemingly out of nowhere, to knock out 1, 2 troop-filled transports, 3 heavy cruisers, 2 destroyers, and 1 aircraft carrier. In pursuit of the enemy, our Army and Navy airmen flew through storm and fog and hurricane, 1/5 on instruments, 4/5 on luck. 20 hours out of 24 sometimes, through blind passes, by uncharted peaks, down through zero ceilings, not knowing whether the enemy fleet or a mountain lay below. Sweating it out for hour after blind hour of continuous flight, at home without benefit of directional beam, to land on unlighted runways, refueled, and take off into gray, blind hell. There is no monument to the many who went out and did not return. They fought and patrolled, in many instances, until their fuel was gone, knowing they would be forced down at sea, but unwilling to break off contacts they had made with enemy forces. Few are alive of those that flew against the Japs in the Battle of Dutch Harbor. If you wish to see their monument, you Americans here at home, look around you. In retiring, the remnants of the defeated Japanese task force landed troops on the undefended islands of Attu, Agatu, and Kiska. We immediately undertook the offensive. So commenced our march out along the bridge toward Asia. In late August of 1942, a large detachment of our troops landed on an island several hundred miles out along the chain, and under 2 hours by bomber from Kiska. The name of this island is Adak, and it is closer to Japan than any other American outpost. Typical of the Aleutian chain, it is windswept, treeless, rain-soaked, carpeted with sphagnum, a flat, spongy vegetation like undersea growth, which oozes water at every step. The only bird life on the island is scavenger ravens, big, black, wind-ruffled. Remote as the moon and hardly more fertile, Adak is next to worthless in terms of human existence. Its sole value is that of a pin on a staff officer's map, but that value is measureless. Strategically, Adak is one of the most important locations in the world. 11 days after the occupation, an airfield was completed, and the first U.S. bomber sat down. 3 days later, flights took off on a bombing mission to Kiska, with complete fighter protection. Since that time, missions over Kiska have become a daily affair. The airfield is the heart of the island, beating with 500,000 horsepower of heavy and medium bombers, Navy amphibians, pursuit ships, transports. The sound of the engines warming up starts before dawn, echoing back from the mountains that flank the field. Every day, weather permitting, the bombers take off on at least one mission. Often on good days, a first flight takes off in the sunrise, others following at regular intervals, so that Kiska's under bombardment every hour until nightfall. Equal in importance to the airfield, and without which the airfield could not exist, is Adak's excellent harbor. Landlocked on three sides with a natural island breakwater, it enables heavy draft vessels to come inshore and unload by lighter under almost any weather conditions. If the airfield is the heart of Adak, the harbor is its hungry mouth. Its demands are ever on the increase. By day and by night, freighters, tankers, transports deposit munitions, supplies, men upon the beach. Standing guard over all the defense installations, coastal batteries, anti-aircraft emplacements, machine gun posts. There is nothing vulnerable about Adak any longer. Skies are constantly circled by aerial patrols and never-ending relays. PT boats, those seagoing-in fighters, stand by in readiness for a surprise landing attempt. Offshore, destroyers keep endless vigil, slipping like ghosts through the fogs, challenging each hull-down speck of an approaching vessel on the horizon. Listening with their undersea ears to the beat of an engine, scanning the seas with a plume of periscope, standing rugged duty in the Bering Patrol, or slipping into port on the flank of a convoy. Although the sea lanes to Adak are constantly traveled by convoys, and contact with enemy submarines is a daily occurrence, sinkings in these waters have been few and far between. Contact with an enemy submarine may continue on and off for hours, during which the undersea craft maneuvers for position to attack, venturing within the radius of the convoy's undersea detectors, only to crash dive, then kill engines and lie silent on the bottom as our destroyers bear down and release depth charges. Our destroyers and Navy reconnaissance have held the undersea enemy well in check. The flow of men, munitions, and supplies flows ceaselessly on. The gigantic task of furnishing every American expeditionary force with the materials needed in carrying the fight to the enemy falls to the Army Service Forces. ASF is the bloodstream of our whole military body, maintaining its every organ and muscle. Adak presents a special problem, as the barren island furnishes nothing toward human needs save drinking water. Everything else must be brought here.